Welcome to Literary Deep Dives and Discussions with me, A.L. Liskey, the author of the Unseen Operative series, and welcome to Season 2 of Who Wrote It. This season, we are taking the guessing just a little bit further. Today, we have 4 authors present. 3 for this group. We did have 1 dropout, but it is still 4 authors, and each of us have submitted a page of our work. So those pages have been swapped, leaving us with 1 question. Who wrote it? Each author was challenged to select a page that was true to their voice and genre, but hopefully this does not immediately give them away. The pages have been assigned numbers 1 through 4 and then swapped among the authors, and if by some happy or an unfortunate chance an author received their own page, their challenge is to simply make sure to convince us with a poker face that it is not theirs. We will begin by getting to know each writer just a little bit better, their genre, their readers, their writing journeys, and the choices that have shaped them as authors. Then the real test begins. We will go 1 page at a time, reading it out loud. Each author will read it, we will guess it, I as the host will record the guesses, and then we'll move on to the next page. Once all 4 pages have been read, then we will enter the reveal stage when, again, pages 1 through 4, we will reveal who wrote what. This will be followed up with some brief questions. With that, we will begin with brief introductions. Please tell us your author name, your genre, and a little bit about your audience, starting with whoever has page 1. Nobody? Okay, so we'll go with page 2. Sweet. So I am A.L. Liskey. I write, technically I write techno thriller, but it does have elements of fantasy, of speculative fiction, of mystery, and a little bit of romance. So that is what I write. My audience is mainly those who really like character-driven, dramatic, mysterious and thrilling stories, hence the genre blend. But I do like to really delve into philosophy in some of my passages. So if that is something that readers are interested in, that's who I write for. All right, number 3.
Well, that's us. Okay, I'm Amanda, and this is my spouse, Rory, Webb. We write fantasy. We co-write. Our readers are, our readers are people who like multi-POV, epic fantasy series, D&D, games like Baldur's Gate 3, cozy, immersive worlds, and writing that's approachable and not too flowery.
All right, number 4.
My name is Daniel Sheley. I write speculative fiction, which includes science fiction and fantasy, as well as dystopian fiction that combines the two. I believe that genre is just a vessel that can be used to tell a story, and my audience is primarily anyone who loves to read something that has a theme hidden in the middle of it. Characters that feel like real people, and philosophy it makes you question things.
Nice. Okay. So I'm definitely going to be checking out all your books because I'm into all of these things. When did you decide that you wanted to become a writer? Since I'm number 2, I will say that I decided I wanted to write, not necessarily become an author, but start writing when I was about in college. I was really interested in writing nonfiction. That's mostly what I write is nonfiction. I really do love speculating and writing philosophy, theology, those sorts of things. So somehow that transitioned into fiction. And when I wrote my debut book, The Lattice Game, I knew from there on that I want to write fiction.
You go first.
Okay. We decided we wanted to write, our stories are based on D&D campaigns because he DMs them. I don't know if you're familiar with D&D, but there's like the dungeon master who's basically in charge of everything. And he came up with these really amazing stories. So we decided these are so good, why don't we make them into novels? And we just kind of went from there.
I'd say though earlier, at least for me, in high school, I started getting into, like independent filmmaking. And so it didn't really start necessarily with books and writing stories like in that way. It was more of storytelling in like a visual way. But that was sort of where I was started to delve into it. And then through college and whatnot, I really went into that a lot more. But then quickly realized that's a tough and expensive way to tell a story. So
I started writing my first book at the age of 16. It was called The Last Bastion. The truth is, I just ran out of fantasy books to read. I was a huge lover of everything I could get my hands on. Anne McCaffrey, Janie Wirtz, Robert Jordan, Ellie Medessa Jr., Stephen Law, the list goes on and on. But my library in Western New York wasn't the largest, and I quickly found myself out of things to write or to read, so I started writing. And then I stopped for a couple of years, and I started just writing poetry all through college and throughout my time in the Navy, until a friend of mine who is a traditionally published author and was my classmate, she and I were talking about poetry, and she told me I needed to start writing again. So I started writing again back in 2015 and didn't think about being a publisher until just recently when my wife forced me to.
That's great support right there. I love it. I don't think there's anything quite like having a partner that really supports you from the go. And I love that we have 3 great examples of that here. We have talked about the genres that we like to write, but what is your favorite genre to read? I don't typically read a lot in my genre. There's like mixes of sci-fi and techno thrillers that I don't read sci-fi. I probably should, but I mostly do dabble around in cozy mystery, fantasy, a lot of nonfiction. College textbooks are actually my absolute favorite thing to read. So I am a nerd, I'm a geek, and I'm proud of it. And that is my take.
No such thing as cringe, right?
Yeah.
You like what you like. My favorite genre to read is fantasy, but I also like romance. And I'm an illustrator as well, so I read a lot of graphic novels. For a while, I thought I was going to be a comic book artist as my job, but it has pivoted quite a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say, fantasy is definitely, I don't read as much as I probably should, but I do indulge in pretty much any big story. One of my favorite shows is Lost, so like the immersive story. It's a huge story. I love it. I love all the characters. Game of Thrones was really fun to watch. I have not read the book, but the show was really. We just got done rewatching that with our daughter, and so it was fun to see it again. I love the big stories with a lot of characters. So
well, I told you already part of my reading history. Fantasy has a special place in my heart, but I really like when it blends a little bit. L.A. Modesta Jr.'s Recluse Saga, however you say it. It mixes science and magic, and besides that, I really like historical fiction, like Bernard Cromwell's The Winter King series or Sharp Sword series. Other than that, I just read anything I get my hands on. I really love history.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. How would you describe your style of writing? This will be a tricky one because we obviously don't want to give too much away. I write in a mix of a classical style and a modern style. My voice changes throughout my writing. I do that intentionally. Sometimes it bothers readers, but not too much. I think that's all I can honestly say.
How to not give it away? I write. How we co-write is he has the ideas and he does very detailed outlines, and then I write the prose, so it's sort of a blending. So he's got all the ideas and I just make it sound good, I guess. I would say it's not super flowery or detailed. It's humorous. There's a humorous tilt to it. It's approachable.
Yeah, I'd say it's just real.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think it's too hard for somebody who has never read fantasy. If they read it, it wouldn't be hard for them to figure it out. So it's like an approachable take on epic fantasy.
I'm a chameleon. Depending on what genre I'm deciding to write in, I pick a register that I want my voice to follow, and I do my best to stick to it. For example, some of my work is high ceremonial. It sounds like it comes straight from a Shakespearean play. Some of it sounds like Beowulf. I do have a bit of a poetic habit of adding poetry in from my long years of doing so. But I have been working on trying to make that less visible in some writing. So it really depends on what genre I'm working on.
There's lots of things to work off of there. Got our wheels turning, right? If your book, or your books in this case, pick a book, just imagine in your head, if it were a series of emojis, what would it be? I'll let you think on that a bit. For me, I think it's trying not to give it away is the hard part. I guess I would have like a little like Z, like somebody sleeping, that emoji. Maybe like the cross-eyed dead one. And then the other one with the swirly eyes, that's just crazy. Those would be my 3.
Okay, I can't say one of them because they'd give it away. One would be the crossed swords, definitely. Maybe like the sparkle the like golden sparkle, like for magic. The church. There's like, yeah, the church one, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So for this one, it would be the Laughing with Tears, the Skull and Crossbones, and Stopwatch.
Stopwatch. Nice. Sometimes I forget there's those other little things.
Yeah. I only think of the ones I use all the time. Like, oh, well, I'm sure there's better ones, but.
Yeah. Now I wish I should have thought of a different, like the skull. That would have fit. Dang it.
I know. Why is it always death when it's like fantasy books? It's always death or like murder.
There's death and tears and crying somewhere in there. Fire.
I think there should be a fantasy crime fiction subcategory in there.
Yeah.
There's so
Totally
much of
should.
that. Okay, what is the greatest source of distraction for you from writing? What disrupts it the most? For me, it's, oh my goodness. I feel like there's multiple competing ones, but number one would probably be my health. I do struggle with a chronic condition, and sometimes when the nausea gets bad enough, like there's no way anything is going to be typed. But sometimes that inspires things. So, I mean, it's a distraction, but when I do get to it, like it comes out.
You can channel that into writing. That's always
Yeah.
good. For me, okay, this is really bad because I'm addicted to social media. That's a huge one. But marketing, right? And I illustrate the books too, so it's not necessarily distraction if I'm drawing pictures for the books, but drawing, definitely. I'm like, I don't feel like writing, I'm just going to draw, and vice versa.
Boy, there's so many distractions.
Our kids?
Yeah, I was gonna say something broke. I gotta go fix something. You know, 'cause I try to be like the first line of defense, so you know, Amanda can keep working on stuff. But yeah, usually it's something, some need, some drama, something broke, something's wrong, and you know.
Sometimes it's
or carting
me.
kids around, you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Rory, my computer's not working. He does IT as his day job, so he's always fixing stuff.
Yeah, he's always fixing.
Yeah.
Well, there's the kids. That's a given. There's nothing like typing a few words and having screaming in the background, and then you're like in the zone, and you're like, quiet.
Yes.
So, hopefully that wasn't too loud.
That's the worst. I was in this moment and then it's gone because my kids needed me. Yeah.
The other one is,
It is.
probably my autism ADHD. So that it's easy to call it a distraction. It's much harder to pinpoint exactly what that distraction is. I'm currently running a book market, a book festival that's coming up. It has 50 authors on it. I run my own YouTube channel. I try to keep up with my own marketing, and I'm writing 2 books simultaneously right now, and then outlined another one. And then I just got a book idea for today that I ended up writing down as well. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to say ADHD autism. Yeah.
That sounds like it.
You know, lots of projects.
Yes.
You're doing so much too. I'm impressed. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do one last question before we dive into the reading, and that is for this book that you sent a page in for. What is one of your favorite things about that book? Yeah, I guess. So for me, I would definitely say that one of my favorite things about the book is the season that it takes place in. I love Christmas time. Totally went with that, and it's like the entire time I was writing it, even the most traumatic parts seemed a lot more doable because of the season in which I was writing it and the season that the book took place. So that is my favorite thing about that for this episode that I'm sharing.
You
I
feel
over?
this one, yeah.
The book that we have actually is the current sort of form of it is going to be the story arc is going to be 3 books. It started off as it was going to be just 1 book, but then as we were working through it, the outline and writing it, we realized this is going to be a massive book. There's no way that we probably should, try to write something and market something that long. So we decided, and we had already been talking about it, this is going to have to be a trilogy. And so we sort of figured out where those parts would be good ending, points for the story. And, now we have book 1 out. So yeah, it was meant to be a large story, and, finding those pieces, and it was a little bit of a challenge, but we're proud that we were able to sort of figure that out.
I think it was a creative problem solving.
Yes.
Like, done okay, I think. My favorite thing about the book, I just think it's this is really shallow, but it's pretty. Like the way that because I did the cover and there's illustrations. I did all the illustrations in there and the chapter headers and formatting it on vellum like is just pretty. Like I like to hold it in my hands and be like, I made this.
That.
My favorite thing about the book that we're going to read from is that it is my Gremlin project. It is supposed to be a book that's not a book. And I intentionally broke several literary rules to write it because my wife had banned me from writing novels for a month.
So you can say technically I'm not writing a novel.
Clever.
Nice.
I don't even know how you would get that ban on you, but now I'm like, what is this story?
Yeah.
Well, so after I wrote the Soul Song, I'd spent months staying up to 4 a.m. every single day because I work a day job, so I write after I get home. And I'd be up till 4 a.m. just constantly going at it for hours on end, going to bed, getting a few hours, going to work, coming back, jumping back into it. So after it was finally ready to be like published, she looked at me and told me that I looked like an undead and that I was not allowed to write another novel for at least a month. So we worked out a deal to where I was allowed to write short stories, and it's from there I found my loophole.
Okay. I am very
Great.
intrigued.
Well, now I wonder if your page is going to be like a complete short story or not. I guess we're going to find out,
Yeah.
shall we? All right, well, let's jump into our reading portion. I will begin with that. Pardon my narrative voice. It's not fantastic. I know I'm monotone, so I apologize to the author up front, even if it's myself. Okay. The taverna had a view of Athens. Persephone had finally been able to drag her husband away from the underworld to enjoy a nice date. The husband she fell for so long ago. Beneath his duty and responsibility, and carrying the weight of the underworld on his shoulders, he could be charming, and nothing was going to take that wonderful night from her. At that moment, a cold, familiar feeling filled the room. A chill ran up her spine, and the god of death himself stepped around the corner. No. She had told the entire underworld that nobody was to interrupt this date. She'd been planning it for 1,000 years. Hades looked up, and his rare smile began to fade as he recognized Thanatos' presence. Rage and fury built in Persephone as Thanatos approached their table. Evening, your highnesses. Sorry to interrupt your dinner, but oh, is that espresso? He reached down and poured a cup from the briki. Thanatos, you had best have a good reason to be here, otherwise my wife very well may end up killing death itself. She heard her husband's weary words, and it sounded like they were miles away. That's good. Sketos. Fabulous. Right, sorry for bothering the two of you, but there are matters of great importance in the underworld right now. Hades was the first to speak. Matters that can wait till after our date. It's not like the world is ending. Now apologize to my wife, and actually, it is a matter of the end of the world. Persephone felt her rage subsiding, and looked around to notice every plant had grown and sprouted thorns the size of daggers that were leaning towards Thanatos. Clearing her throat, she interjected. Thanatos, put the coffee down and tell me what is going on. She saw her husband relax. For being the great feared god of the underworld, he seemed to hate conflict. Thanatos set the coffee cup down, giving it a longing look, then spoke. She could have dismembered him right there on the spot. Hades ran his hand down his face. You think that a coffee pot is worth interrupting a date that I've been planning for a millennia? What? No. See, the Harpies went on strike. Karen isn't ferrying the dead, and that new monster baby started to flood. Oh, and some mortal apparently ate Perseid's apple. Persephone looked at Hades. Hades looked at her. They both blinked in disbelief. Then they looked back at Thanatos. Right, so I came to get you as Alan, try as he might, got Radamanthus involved. Oh, right, and then the nemesis was also at the keep ranting about something. He reached a bony arm across the table for the coffee cup. That is the page. I just gotta say, off the top, I love that page. I read that page 3 times this week, and I thought, dang, this is fun.
My guess would be you, AL. Just, I don't know, because it doesn't feel like it feels like a novel. And Daniel said his is technically not a novel. So I don't know. That's where my brain went.
Okay. So we got 1 of 4 guesses.
I think that it is Amanda and Rory's. Just feels like something like a D&D story.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to guess Amanda Rory as well because that was my thought. So I'm glad you said that, Daniel. Rory, what are your thoughts?
Here's where I'm torn, because there's the little bit of technology in there, like the coffee pot. It makes me think maybe UAL.
Yeah.
But Daniel mentioned history, and so maybe that extends to mythology. So, we'll go with Daniel.
No, we're gonna.
I'm
We
gonna.
got one for each. Okay. Okay.
Fantastic.
One of
All
us is right. I don't know who.
25%
That's
chance.
true.
Yeah.
I should be giving out prizes for this. My goodness.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. We'll see at the end of this episode if I think of something. Shall we? Okay. Let's go page number 3.
Okay, that is us. Okay. Are you talking to Mirtha again? Quay asked from beside him. They sat side by side on the narrow bench at the front of the wagon. Gideon held the reins in one hand and a block of wood he was attempting to carve in the other, and Quay was quietly writing a letter. Lucius lounged in the back amongst all of their supplies, and Hypnocost, still recovering from what he called his mind blast, slept fitfully beside the still unconscious mystery woman. No, Gideon grumbled, flicking a sliver of wood onto the road as he carved at the chunk of it with his tiny knife. Even if I was, Mirtha hates me. I'm convinced she moves even slower when I've got the reins. It's because you're so mean to her, she answered primly, not looking up from her writing. Isn't he, Mirtha? Her voice was high and sing-song as she spoke to the shaggy white ox. Gideon's just a mean old grump, isn't he? You'll move faster if I ask nicely, won't you? Damned if Mirtha didn't turn her head back to look worshipfully at Quay when she spoke. She even wagged her tail. And sure enough, she started to trot a little faster, holding her thick bovine head high in the air. Quay gave Gideon a pointed, victorious smile. He just rolled his eyes and scowled even deeper. It wouldn't kill you to be nice at least sometimes, she said after a slight pause. I know that deep down, way deep, deep down, you're secretly a soft old man. He quirked an eyebrow. I'm not that old. Is 38 old? Ancient. I'm surprised you're still able to walk. Shall I procure you a cane? Don't tempt me. He held the reins loosely in his lap and leaned back, eyeing his chunk of wood critically. It was only just starting to take shape. A few more cuts along the sides should do it. If my limp gets any worse, I'll actually need one. He stretched out his bad leg, an old injury from his days spent in the fighting pits of Gildan now caused him daily irritations. He gave her a sidelong glance.
That was fun.
Let's see. I'll go first.
I mean, yeah.
I think it's AL.
Why?
I think, I don't know, gut feeling, but I was looking for something that would like really tip off one way or the other, but I'm just gonna have to go with a gut feeling.
Okay.
I guess because I already guessed you, AL, so I'm gonna have to say Daniel. I don't know, that's the only other one, because we are like considered one writer, so.
Well, I think with this one, then
Who'd you say last time?
I said Daniel for the
Okay.
other one, so I think I'm gonna go with AL on this one. This seems
Okay.
like, disagree, you know.
I was actually thinking of Daniel because the name Gideon, I know like that to me is like a theological historical name, so I was like, oh, it's history. That was my immediate thought. I still am second guessing it though. It is funny. That's a great page. I like that page. Maybe I did write that page. Yeah, okay, so we'll go Daniel, 2 for Daniel, 2 for me. Page 4.
The realm, mixing real and surreal, wove its intermingling through the odd town. Figures were present, reminiscent of those in the townsend she had previously traversed. Yet these proved strangers still. They drifted through the crooked little streets in relentless passage, their forms wavering at the edges like images glimpsed beneath disturbed water. Around them wandered shapes without destinations, indistinct and almost formless, dissolving the moment she attempted to discern their contours. She drew back until her shoulder met the slanted wall of a nearby structure, its cold surface doing little to steady the unease gathering within her. The air itself felt unsettled, as though stepped in half-remembered sorrow. Nothing felt solid in the locality save the ground beneath her feet. Even the fleeting figures seemed reluctant to linger. With no sign of Wagner or any other companion, and strange nausea growing in her chest, she found herself suspended in an unshakable, even paralyzing sense of uncertainty. Closing her eyes, she sought the subtle thread of perception that so often guided her through the dreamscape. Yet here it lay dimmed, muted into uselessness. Scarcely could she feel anything beyond the gravel beneath the air about her. Azure faced the bitter truth, one she was unsure how to grasp. Her senses were faltering, even here. But how could that be, when Wagner's sensitivity cut through the uncanny omniscience after years of dream-walking? Perhaps this place seemed to choose whom it would reveal itself to, and whom it would confound. Or else it's just his blindness, she murmured aloud. sharpening all other senses. What is? Azura's eyes shot open at the sudden voice. Before her stood a woman with bright orange hair held back by a blue bandana. She was smiling, one tattooed arm raised in greeting. "Long time no see," she said slightly. "Well, more than half a second, anyhow." "Delaney!" she exclaimed. "Yes," Delaney chortled, somewhat satirically. "So glad to be remembered."
Man, this is hard. I'm gonna guess. I can't decide. It's one of you two. So I'm gonna guess. I guess AL again instead. Can I change mine? I'm gonna say it's yours. It just sounds kind of dreamy and I don't know, like it could be any genre. Yeah.
I'm thinking like paranormal, and then I don't know. That was a weird one for me.
Yeah, it's hard.
My interpretation is it seems like it's dreamscape-ish, like they're escaping into a dream, and one person's senses, because he's blind in the real world, is stronger there. That's what I interpreted from the read. I'm gonna go with Amanda and Rory because it's the only choice I haven't chosen. You know what? I'll just change it. I'm gonna say I wrote this.
Yeah, you can do that.
Totally me.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna claim that. So
Yeah.
Oh, you're
That
claiming
I
would-
it.
wrote that.
Yeah. That would really throw a wrench in everything.
So congrats, you're a
Yeah.
co-writer.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to get this down right, there's a vote for Daniel, a vote for Amanda and Rory. Yeah, that's where we're going is between you two. Yeah, I guess
so.
you three. Let's see. I already guessed for Daniel. I'm gonna throw another guess for Daniel. So just reading this back, this is what we currently stand at. Last chance to change answers before we reveal who wrote it. So for page number 2, we have one guess for me, 2 guesses for Amanda and Rory, and 1 guess for Daniel. Does anybody want to change their guess?
Negative.
I'm gonna keep.
I think I'm
mine.
sticking. Yeah.
Okay, solid. For page number 3, we have 2 for me and 2 for Daniel. Does anybody want to change their guess? I'm going to change mine to Amanda and Rory just because I guessed Daniel on the last one.
Okay.
The joke's on everyone. I wrote all of them.
Yeah.
That
The
might be a
twist.
twist that I have coming
Yeah.
in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's a good idea.
I love it. Okay, page number 4. We have 2 for Amanda and Rory and 2 for Daniel.
I think I'm wrong all over. Like I'm just.
Page number 2, which I read. Who wrote it? Daniel! I
Who
love your
guessed-
page!
Yeah. Who guessed Daniel? I don't remember. It wasn't.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, it was Rory. Way to go!
course.
The
1 point for
Bariki
Rory.
and Sketos probably gave it away, as well as the fact that mythology does enter my wheelhouse of history and old classics.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about this page. What inspired this, or what exactly is the context of what's going on?
Okay, story time. So, this book is about, it's called Underworld LLC. It is the whip that I'm getting ready to kick out soon. Like it's written, it's done, I just need to publish it. So, Underworld LLC is a series of mosaics. Remember I said it's a gremlin thing? So it's stories about various people within the underworld, including Alan, the god of weeds, who is the son of Persephone and Hades. That's Thanatos, by the way, the god of death. There's a story that has Echidna in it. There's Aeolus and Atlanta. There's Chiron. There's 24 different POVs. Remember I said I broke rules. Every POV has their own story. All these stories take place in order. And there's an underlying buildup of things that go wrong because the underworld is a bureaucracy. It is a company, and Hades is middle management.
Oh.
So this chapter, or this story, because I call them stories, takes place about 3/4 of the way through the book. And all the things that Thanatos has said has happened has already come to head, but you only get them in like pieces. And yeah, it's a really fun project for me because I get to let my satire side out and not be as much tied into my epic fantasy voice. So yeah, this is it's a bureaucracy about the underworld and it's falling apart, and it even has a human who believes he's a Sekide into the world. He has his own story.
So is it like a puzzle and the reader's supposed to figure out what happens?
No, it takes place in order. All the stories
Okay.
follow the same order. Nothing is done as a parallel. It all happens one after the other, which is a habit of my writing. And it's like The Office meets Terry Pratchett.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
So Yeah, it's mosaics is what it's called. And that's how I got away from the whole not writing a novel thing, is because I wrote a story in mosaics.
That's
Love it.
interesting. Yeah. And I was a
I
Greek
hope-
mythology girly growing up, so recognize all those names. And I was like, all right, I know who these characters are.
Once I finish getting its edits done, I'll probably put it out. I don't know when exactly. It is written. It's just in edit phase. You got one of the pages that I personally went through and tried to edit on my own before I sent in. But it's called Underworld LLC, and it will be released soonish.
I'm taking notes because I gotta buy it as soon as it comes
Yeah.
out. That is great. I love it. I'm sorry I butchered any names there. Greek mythology is not my
it's-
forte, obviously.
Well, you faked it pretty good, so.
Thank you. Well, let's go on to page number 3. Who wrote page number 3?
That was us.
Oh, I didn't get a
I
single
read
one.
my own page.
Yeah, it was
It's like,
it
oh,
got weird.
Yeah, I got to pretend I don't know what I'm reading.
We panicked.
Yes, it was a bit of a panic.
Well, you didn't look panicked.
Okay, I was very hot as I was reading it, but hopefully you didn't see it.
Well, tell us a little bit about this page.
So they're on their way back. A big portion of the book is like a road trip kind of, hence the wagon and the ox Mirtha. They're on their way back to the city after just having like a scuffle in like a campsite, and they found this injured woman, and they're bringing her back to heal her up. I don't know. And it's the Gideon and Quay are like two of the main POVs. I thought we had a lot of POVs. There's 8 in this book, but compared to yours, like
guess
that's
not.
like light work apparently. So yeah, this one's from Gideon's POV. He's one of the main guys. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of moments sort
Yeah.
of as they're traveling in the wagons where they're, as things unfold, they have different moments and whatnot. To be honest, I was a little concerned when we started reading it that you might have seen a little.
Oh, that's too tiny.
That's Mirtha.
That's Mirtha.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's kind of the mascot turned into the mascot of the series.
Yeah.
Because we love Highland cows, so she looks like a Highland cow. But she's
I love
not.
cows. Oh
Yeah,
my
me
goodness.
too.
Yes.
I'm more of a hippo person myself.
I don't know. I could do a hippo pulling a wagon. That would be interesting.
I'm sure they could.
Yeah, I'm sure they could.
If they didn't tear it up, my goodness.
Yeah,
those things-
exactly.
Page number 4 was me. So
I didn't guess that. Did anybody guess that right? I don't remember.
No, because you all thought it was
you all
me when I
backed
said it
away
was
from me.
Yeah, we did. I don't know what
As
the
soon
heck.
as I said it was me, you all jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I was grateful for that save. I really was. Because there was a word in there, nauseous, and I was like, crap, I talked about being nauseous on this podcast. Why was I doing that?
Did
Thank
I guess
goodness.
the
Yeah, 'cause
story
you-
right? That it's like a dream
You
state?
did. Yeah, so the thing about my books is, and this is where the fantasy element comes in, is my detectives solve crimes by entering into dreams. And so the dreamscape is the subconscious shared realm of dreams. But the particular part that she's in is actually the deepest layer of the subconscious called oblivion. And it's tangible, and she can feel things, and it does weird things to her. And so this is her first time being reintroduced to oblivion in book 2 of the series after it's been about 6 or 7 months since she'd last been there. And the figure that meets her, Delaney, she's like the rogue highlight of the series. Everybody loves her because she's such a sasspot and nobody knows what she's doing. They're not friends. They're not on the same side at all. And yet there's like this passive aggressive constant mingling of the two. So it's, yeah, that's what's going on is she found herself in that realm, and the problem is she can't get out by herself. She needs her co-detective to help her to break out of it, and he's right now in the middle of a meeting. So she's stuck.
It
It's
reminds
always
me,
meetings.
It reminds me of Inception, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that was actually the reason I didn't ask in this episode, like, what movie most matches your book, because Inception, I've been told, matches my book. I've not seen it, but
Oh, you
yeah,
should.
I
Yeah.
should.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I literally, I have 2 reviews on my Amazon page that say that this is just like Inception. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
should
no.
I be flattered or offended?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it good?
It's
Yeah.
really
No,
good.
I think
No,
it's
good.
flattering.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
flattering one. Yeah, you're good. Yes.
All right. So after going through this, which author's page surprised you the most and why?
I think that Daniel's did. But I can see the history and mythology now. But for some reason in my head, history is like this dry high school classroom setting where you're bored out of your mind learning about, World War II or whatever. And mythology is like stories and fun and the gods being like really horny and doing crazy things. So I don't equate the two of them together, but it does make sense. I can see where the connect is there.
Honestly, I was surprised by Amanda and Rory's. I did not think that I was looking for something more D&D related for your book based off of your statement. I play a lot of D&D myself. I am a DM, and among the many of the things I do, and I was looking for like something to do with like a quest or a tavern or a brawl or. You know what I'm talking about. You play the game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's in the book, but we didn't want to pick anything too obvious. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Al, yours, after you explained it, I didn't catch necessarily the sort of the crime and the investigation into that. And so as you mentioned that and your explanation, I was like, okay, now I see that. And I see that after you read the page, I was like, okay, I see how it sort of fits in. But I think that's a really cool take on that. So it's not something I like thought of right away.
Thank you. So how did you two come to co-write together? Like what initially got that idea of starting to write a book together? I'm really curious.
Well, we first started, gosh, how long ago was it? Probably over 10, 13, I don't know.
Yeah.
We started with a graphic novel series first where it was a different D&D campaign and he basically wrote it and I illustrated it obviously. And we thought we were going to do more with doing comics, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, being an indie author is also a hard sell, but it's quite a bit harder doing like Comic Cons and artist alleys and stuff. And it was just kind of like, I don't know that I necessarily want to do this forever. And so we stopped for a while and I wasn't doing anything, writing or anything for a long time, but our kids were like little when we started. So that's a big damper. Like we can't just go out and do Comic Cons every weekend. We have little kids at home, so they're older now. Our youngest is 11, so our oldest is 18, and then we have a 15-year-old. So they're all pretty self-sufficient. We can kind of let them do their thing, and we just decided. I don't know. Like there's like one day. I was like, I'm going to start writing this. And Rory's like, whoa, wait, like, I'm not ready.
Because you'd written a version before.
Yeah, I started writing it like 11 years ago and it was terrible. It was really, really bad. Like I wasn't ready, but then I don't know. I just got a thought in my head and I'm like, I think something I read, I don't know if you're familiar with T. Kingfisher, any of her books. Paladin's Grace is like a romantasy kind of, but there's like horror elements in there. It's my favorite book of all time. I read that and it was sort of like it didn't take itself seriously and it made me realize like just because I like fantasy doesn't mean I have to write it in a serious way because it's not me. So I just started going and he helped me. I can't write without his outlines. I write myself into holes. Yeah. But that's kind of the weird rambly way of how we started. We've always like done creative stuff together ever since we started dating in college. And then it's just kind of like what brought us together. So
I love that. That's a literary love story right there.
yeah. Well, I never played D&D. He taught me how to play D&D in college. And it was like how he wooed me with D&D. So here we are, like 20 years later, married
Here's the
with
third
kids.
edition handbook.
Yes.
Take a look at this.
Ooh, and I was like, ooh, these pictures are so cool. Like, yeah.
So great. Oh my goodness. My husband actually, I wasn't a gamer until dating him and all he did was game and I was like, okay, I guess I will try this and get into this. And now we're married and it's funny because my mom sometimes she's like, gaming? Really? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's powerful.
It is.
As I said, my wife kind of forced my hand a little bit on the first book I put out. So please don't ever go read this book. I left it up there because she made me leave it up there. It's Lux Mendicium is the name of the book. It's a dystopian. It's supposed to make you think that it's fantasy book at first. I write it as a classic fantasy book opener, but it's really a science fiction dystopian. But yeah, it's 20 something K words, very short book. And I finished writing it, and my wife said, publish it. And I'm like, huh? I don't know how to publish a book.
How long ago was it? Like, when did you first publish?
I first published in 2025.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was just last year. I've been writing since like forever. And I finished this one and said, I finished it, won't read it. She goes, no, publish it. So I started looking into how to publish. I did some trial publishings. I like put one book up for a day that just to see how it would work, and then pulled it back down when I realized that it stays on my permanent record. It's not even a book, it's like a few notes.
Yeah.
So then I put up Lux Minuseum, and I was like, yes, I published a book. And I told everyone, look, I put up a book. And the truth is, I didn't edit the book at all.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Leap of faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the book has had some edits in it since, but then I immediately grabbed another manuscript I'd written before and said, well, let me try this again. So I quickly rewrote a book called The Toldston Tale into the book Heartcoil, and I published that one. And then I started like looking for different things, like reviewers, critics, and everything else to try to get more information. I still wasn't getting very far. Then I had the Soul Song, which I had been working on for a while. I decided to try to query it. So I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing here with self-publishing at this point. So I'm just going to take the manuscript that I truly believe in, and I'm going to query it. And I queried it for a couple months, 8 months or so. And it eventually it won ULT, which is the Writers League of Texas Manuscript Contest, as a finalist. And then I got a couple of hits from some agents. I got a full request. And when all of them came back with the same answer, which was, this is really good, but I don't feel like the right champion, I said, fine, I'm doing this myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I
Yeah.
really got into publishing, because I purchased marketing. I set up my own LLC for my own publishing press. That's when I first bought ISBNs and learned how to use ISBNs. I started getting ARC readers and everything. So everything prior to that was me dabbling, I guess. But
Yeah.
the Soul Song was the first time that I actually really consider myself an indie publisher.
It's
And the
quite a
rest is
journey.
now. Yeah.
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 Sounds very familiar. Like figuring all that stuff out.
It's a pain, and it's so interesting to me that, you know, traditional authors, they don't get to see this full experience. They don't get to have this full experience, because we as indie authors, we have to be 20 plus people. And I mean, to me, I find it to be very empowering. Yes, it's very frustrating sometimes. Yes, sometimes it's really, really long and hard to get the needle to move any one direction. But as you keep putting in that effort, and as the time goes on, you know, it all pays off just beautifully, and it becomes something wonderful. And very few indie authors ever get like up there that this is their full-time job, and it's, you know, what gets the bread on the table and whatnot. But it still is so much more rewarding to me than I think traditional authors often get to experience. Those are my 25 cents. But as we reach the end of this hour, one last question for this group is, what do you think makes a writer unmistakably themselves?
I will answer that by saying that it's about tapping into your life and your experiences, the people you know, the things that you've done, the things that you've seen, and using that as sort of a springboard into, hey, wouldn't this be cool if we could do something like this or tell a story like this? You know, for example, some of our story, it goes back and forth between two main sort of like areas, and one of them is like meetings, the city meetings in this big city that takes place. And there was a time where I was working as a videographer recording meetings. And so there was some inspiration from that. And it sounds very boring, and most of the time, yes, it was very boring. But there were also some really interesting things. You'd see some people get real heated about things, and it was really interesting how people would answer those. And so anyways, we took that, and that was the inspiration for part of the story. So we took that real life sort of experience, something that might seem a little boring. We took the really cool parts and we sort of bundled and wrapped it into a story. So using your real life, as sort of an inspiration. You can't match that.
Yeah. Can I just say that?
Sure.
Copy
Sorry.
your answer?
Sure.
Like, yeah,
Allow.
what he said.
I will allow it.
I don't know. I think just that's a hard one. I feel like it's hard. One of the challenges is like finding your voice, your writing voice, I guess. And once you read a book that you like really like, yeah, obviously you kind of take a little bit of that because what you like and you want to put it into your writing, but taking from all the media that you consume and enjoy and blending it with your own unique way of telling a story. Like I'm the only person who could write this story how it is. Like there's only one person that can do it, and it's me. So just kind of taking it's life experience, but maybe with just media thrown in there, like blending it all together and making it into your own unique voice.
I think it has to do with our own viewpoints and outlooks on the world around us. People often, or at least I often, use metaphor to create what the story is going to be about. I write the entire story around a metaphor because I don't want to beat you over the head with the real life theme that I'm pointing out. But the reason that I can view it the way that I can is because of, as you guys said, my own life experience. But it's really your viewpoints. And if you pay close enough attention, it doesn't matter what genre you switch to. It doesn't matter what story you're writing, if it's a new world or not. All of us have a tick for going back to the same types of stories and themes. Even if it's not the main theme, it will eke its way in there because it's part of ourselves that's entering into our work. Like I could tell you one of mine. It's the little guy, the little overlooked guy who doesn't necessarily become a hero, but gets his due.
I
Love that.
Yeah.
Yes, those are all fantastic answers. I love it. Part of the reason that I write the Unseen Operative series is because I'm curious about things like this. What is the unseen answer to questions that are so deep, that are so profound, that are so unique that we can't necessarily bundle in one sentence? And those were beautiful words, Rory. Absolutely, Amanda. I agree with that completely, and Daniel as well. I think all of those things blend together into this one big whole that makes us unmistakably who we are as authors. So thank you so much for that. And again, thank you for joining this episode of Who Wrote It, first episode of season 2. It's been so much fun. This is just a great group to start it off with. Anything that I can do to help support you, absolutely will. And I will be checking out all your books because I've got to read these things. Yeah,
Add more to my TBR.
absolutely.
Underworld
Yes.
LLC's not out yet, but it will be.
So, but it will be, yeah. When it is, I will be on it. For all of the viewers, thank you so much for joining this episode. Please check out in the description below all of these authors and their books, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to support indie authors.